It's that time of the month. But we're going to be doing something with this machine here, which is the IBM Thinkpad R40, which is running Windows Server 2008. Those of you that know, or should know anyways, Windows Server 2008 is now out of support. And there's no reason for a laptop to be running a server operating system. So we're going to be putting Vista on here. Yes, I know that Vista is also out of support. But this video is also going to serve as my Vista Retrospective. I do have Vista on that machine over there, however, it's going to be changed because Vista doesn't run very well on there, so it's not really a surprise. I don't expect Vista will run on here well either, but I don't use this machine often enough to really care. And, hey, Server 2008 has got a couple of quirks. Most notably, the wireless card doesn't work, so I have to use this in tether mode, and well, it just really doesn't support a lot because it's a server operating system. It's not meant for that kind of stuff. So I'm going to shut it down. I am going to take a backup of the operating system and take an image of the disk just in case, because I don't want to have to start from scratch. So this is an operating system reconfiguration. That's what this is. Shut it off, and we'll get started. So in order to do this, I am making a bootable USB. Where is the tool? Windows Vista using the Windows 7 USB tool. So we'll see how that works. Okay, so this is the response that it gave me for trying to make a Vista USB. That's alright. If memory serves correctly, it is still bootable. And we're going to find out about that together. Because I've already created an image of this hard drive, it isn't really going to matter whether or not I save everything that's on the partition anyways, because I can just grab it off of the image. No problem. Without damaging the image. Alright, process started. I had to use a boot CD because I guess the USB stick is not bootable like it said. Well, whatever. I'm sure that I've done it where the disk was bootable, but oh well. Can't have everything. Delete. Goodbye, data. What a piece of crap. Okay, I had to switch to the DVD because apparently the USB was not working. I swear I've done that before. I've been able to get it to work. Whoa! Holy moly, Windows Vista. I wanted to grab the updates off of this thing, and I guess that's not allowed. Huh. It still works, though. It wants me to reboot over a USB flash drive. Yeah, forget that. I think that's a pretty good first background. I'll probably change it to something else later. Installing drivers now. Video driver and this are basically the only drivers available, so I'm going to have to go and get the other drivers manually from other sources. $9.99. Oh no. Cooker for $1.99. Yeah, I'm running the WSUS offline stuff. Mostly because I don't want to deal with, if I don't have to, I don't want to go through Microsoft's channels, because Windows Update on Vista and later seems to take forever if you don't have all the updates installed, or if you don't have a certain, select number of updates installed. I need to activate. That's what I need to do. It might be taking forever on the licensing info because of that. And now, Service Pack 2. Really? Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. And I think now is as good a time as any to have my Windows Vista retrospective, which hopefully won't be too long. Actually, it can't really be too long anyways, because I only have a limited amount of storage space in this computer. Ooh, look, Windows Internet Explorer 9. But anyways, my experience with Windows Vista has been really polarizing, to be quite frank about it. I'm going to use two systems here I got during the Windows Vista craze back when it first came out and before the Windows 7 launch. The points here, because I've run Vista on all other things since, but I haven't really delved into it other than those two occasions. But nevertheless, let's actually start talking about it. My first system that had Vista on it is actually sitting down there underneath that keyboard. That thing was bought coinciding with the Windows Vista launch. And I will admit, it didn't run Vista originally because I didn't have a Windows Vista license, but I later purchased the license, and all was well and fine. It was upgraded from an XP installation that was about 2 weeks old to Windows Vista. And I'm going to say that for all of the complaints that people have about Windows Vista, that thing, if your only experience with Windows Vista was with this computer and Vista, you would wonder why everybody hates Windows Vista. It ran pretty well. I mean, it wasn't perfect, obviously. User account control was pretty annoying, and so too was the thrashing of the hard drive. But it ran it. I did all of my daily tasks on it, and it worked fine for the couple of years that I used it on a regular basis. After this, somewhere down the line, in fact, just before the Windows 7 launch, I think in 2008, it was either 07 or 08, I think it was 08, I got a Toshiba Satellite L300D040 laptop. This was a display model, or the one that they had sitting out on display, so that might have been part of the problem, but that thing was a total lemon. Having said that, it had a lot of hardware problems, but Vista never ran very well on that system. It was always slow, even though the specifications were better than the Pentium D820 system that's sitting down there. And that Pentium D system could run laps around this L300D. It was terrible. You may have heard my mentioning it in some of my earlier videos, this particular system, and how much I hated it and how much it sucked. I bought a similar model actually sitting in pieces in this drawer here. I need to get a new power jack for that. That was a common problem on those. It's not the same model, it's a little bit newer, but there you go. There's all that information. Now it's asking me to reboot the computer, so we'll go ahead and do that. Vista's problem is not so much that it was rushed, because it was. Longhorn was terrible, and it just became a massive feature creeping experience. So they canned it and replaced it with Vista in a rushed manner. And although that might have been part of the problem, that wasn't the whole problem. You see, the real problem with Windows Vista is the fact that it is heavily disk I/O bound. And it just really wasn't fast. It wasn't a fast experience. The hard drive is the slowest part of a computer. So that was one of the big problems. The other big problem was the user account control. You see, I understand completely the idea of trying to protect the user, but the problem with user account control is that it doesn't really do a good job of it, because look at how many people just click straight through it, because they pop up so often that you never think twice about it. It pops up for every little thing you try doing, especially on Vista. And the other part of the problem is that everything, or most everything, is by an unknown publisher, an unknown program by an unknown publisher, and how is the user supposed to know whether that's malicious or not? It doesn't really work. So, Windows Vista introduced a number of nice things. I mean, it introduced the new Windows Update. It introduced, I'm trying to think, what else was carried over? The Arrow Glass interface, which isn't something that I'm really big on. I'm going to say right now, I was never a fan of Arrow Glass when it first came out. And I'm still not a fan of Arrow Glass, because it uses up way too many resources for something that really just, frankly, doesn't work. Or isn't necessary. I mean, especially now, everybody has a computer. The whole point of these 3D rendered UIs is to give the user something pretty to look at, and to make a computer seem less daunting. And that's really just not necessary anymore. So, but then again, I never really saw the point of the Arrow Glass in the first place. All it really seemed to me was just an outright duplication of Apple's Aqua user interface that they had back then. I think they still call it Aqua, but I don't know. It's been dulled down as well. They copied Microsoft in that regard, so tides are changing. What else can I say about Windows Vista other than the fact that I just really don't have much experience with it, and I don't really care much for it. It's just another operating system. I don't really think there's much. It is just really slow because of all of the disk I/O boundedness. Sometimes it is so bad that you have to shut the computer off and turn it back on again in order to regain control of it. And in a sentiment to what is old is now new again, Windows 10 is exactly the same way. I find that on a lot of systems, it gets so disk I/O bound that I have to shut the system off and reboot it in order to regain control of it. Oh yeah, that was the other problem with Windows Vista. It's not just, being disk I/O bound that was a problem. It's not just user account control that's a problem. It is the fact that the hardware that Windows Vista shipped on just purely was not good enough. The systems that it was shipping on, especially in the early days, were glorified Windows XP machines with 512 megs of RAM and crappy 40 gigabyte hard drives and Celeron CPUs that just were not capable of running it. If you spec'd out a decent enough system, like that one, somewhat decent, you got a decent experience out of it. It's sort of like, you get what you pay for. A lot of systems that were certified as being Windows Vista capable. I mean, like that system over there, that one is certified as being Windows Vista capable. I doubt it very highly because it's only a Celeron M. I think it had 512 megs of RAM. No, actually, it only had 256 megs of RAM when it came. That's not enough to run Windows Vista. And yet that's a lot of what a lot of manufacturers said. Oh yeah, it's got this Windows Vista capable. Slap a sticker on it, and then people think it can run Vista, when in fact, really, you're not going to get a satisfactory experience out of it. That's just as bad as the people who took Windows XP and installed it on Pentium 233s with 64 megs of RAM. Yes, I did that. Actually, no, I did it on a Pentium 200. Pentium 200, 64 megs of RAM, 1.2? No. Yeah, 21200 and 1.2 gig, 23200, 3.2 gigabytes, sorry. 3.2 gigabyte hard drive. I tried that. That was not a very good experience. It ran. Oh yes, it ran, but the instant you tried doing anything with it, well, it just ground to a complete halt, and that's exactly what Vista did. You ran it on a system that really just was not capable of running it, and everything just ground to a complete halt. And that, I think, is most of the problem with Windows Vista. That being said, Windows 7 is certainly a lot more polished of an operating system, and Windows 8.1 is just purely fast now. There's no reason why anybody should ever install Windows Vista. Not even for nostalgia purposes. There's really no point. The only reason why I'm installing Vista on this machine is that because it was Server 2008, and, well, it might as well just run the consumer version of that. I don't really feel like doing too much work. That, and I just want to have a Vista machine around just so I can say I have a Vista machine around. Do as I say, not as I do. You're wasting your time by installing Windows Vista on anything. Either install XP or install Windows 7. There's really no point. And this thing's probably going to get the Windows 7 treatment, not at some point down the road when I just lose all cares for Windows Vista. But so far it seems to work. So I see no reason to do anything else. And I'm hesitant to run Windows 7 on this because I think Windows 7 really requires a little bit more hardware than this thing can really push forward. Even Windows Vista is a bit of a stretch for this. But I'd have to upgrade the RAM before I install Windows 7 on this. Because 1.25 gigabytes of RAM is a little on the low side. Although you can run Windows 7 on 256 megabytes of memory, as little as that. You will not have a very satisfactory experience with that. But you can do it. It's possible. Nevertheless, I'm going to let all these updates install, and then we will come back. Alright, so I think that Vista computer over here has reached a stalemate. This particular endeavor may actually take a significant amount of time. I don't really know. I've had some machines where this has taken a couple minutes. So far, this has been running for a little over an hour. I've heard some reports that this kind of stuff could take upwards of a week to do, so it's probably going to be sitting here for a while. That over there I actually had out, that R40E, but it turns out the battery in that system is actually completely dead. It has a 98% charge, according to the operating system, but I guess it doesn't actually have a 98% charge because I unplugged it in preparation to work on the next project computer, and the thing died instantaneously, so oops. We're going to work on this. And if you think that looks identical to the Vista box, you'd be absolutely correct. They are exactly the same system, an IBM Thinkpad R40. This one actually looks like it is in better physical condition than the unit over here. However, this one is missing the hard drive caddy. And it's also missing the door over the wireless card, which this unit had installed out of the box. This one did not. I installed an 802.11b card that I had lying around. And we can see Action Tech. Probably a piece of junk, but I haven't quite decided if this is going to be a permanent Linux box, but I am going to be running the Linux operating system on this. Specifically, I'm going to be installing Lubuntu 17.04, which is the latest release. And I'm going to see how many bugs and issues it has, and how much different it is from previous versions. But I need to get a bootable USB in order first. Alright, hell with the noise of installing Lubuntu. I'm going to try out this. YouTube user Weasel2HTM brought me onto the existence of this. Q4 OS, which itself, I believe, is based on stable Debian, which I actually prefer because I'm not a big fan of the Linux distributions that base themselves around the RPM package manager. I really don't like RPM, and there's no real reason for it. I just don't particularly. I just can't wrap my head around it. I am a D-package guy, so. Nevertheless, it's on Distro Watch, and yes, it is based on stable Debian. Could have just read this, and it would have told me all the information I needed to know. They've got an ARM version, which is pretty cool, using the Trinity desktop environment, and it looks a lot like Windows XP, so I think that this is a very interesting candidate for trial. I'm going to use the same USB stick that I tried, using as a Vista boot disk, and that just failed completely, so I erased it. And I'm going to, no, that's not what I wanted. That's the Windows 7 USB Creator tool. I'm going to run Linux Live USB Creator, which is probably going to want to update itself. Huh, it doesn't. It's a surprise. So the disk I want is M. Apparently it's NTFS. Probably because I had used it as a Windows boot disk, so. And we'll grab, I've already downloaded these, at least to the best of my knowledge. Grab Q4 OS. I want the i386 because I'm installing on a Pentium M. It's going to check the file. It's going to say it doesn't know what it is, because I highly doubt it knows what it is. Regular Linux works with most Linuxes, so this should work completely. Format the key FAT32, because I doubt that it'll work with NTFS. And it should work. may take forever, but we should have a bootable key by the time this is all said and done. Okay, USB key is created. Let's go ahead and fire it up. And I hope that it works. Ooh, that's not a particularly good sound. I hope that's not the fan, or rather the hard drive. It's probably the hard drive. Okay. Yeah, I think the hard drive might not work. That's bad. Yeah, I think that hard drive is junk. And the CMOS battery's dead. $256 megabytes of memory. And it's only got a Celeron processor. Yuck. I may need to put another hard drive in here. And we have run into an instantaneous problem. Apparently we do not support USB booting. This could be interesting. Yeah, looks like this bastard doesn't support USB booting. Well, it does from USB floppy drives and CD-ROMs, but not from a USB thumb drive, which is what I want. And I can't find my boot floppy right now, so this project is going to be put on hold for a bit. We'll revisit it later on in the video, but I've got other things I need to work on. It is 3 in the morning. I realistically should be just going straight to bed, but I'm going to do one more thing, because there's one more thing I want to do before I turn in. At least get started with, anyways. You see, I'm not really that big of a fan of videos of multiple computer projects, but that's what this is going to be. So we started with this. We then went to that, which is going to be deferred for a little bit. I could talk about that thing, but there really isn't much to it. And it's being a turd will not connect to the Windows Update website, even though it was working not too long ago. I wanted to investigate. But we're moving on to this, which is having some issues with the web browser. I was going to reinstall the operating system because, well, I thought that I'll install the latest version, 1704, which I thought was 1704, with the LXQT desktop and give my thoughts about the LXQT desktop, because that's what was supposed to be all of the release details with regards to that. Well, plans have changed because apparently they're behind on working with LXQT, so it will not be released as part of 1704. And furthermore, 1704 is not even released at all in the first place, so it's just 1610. So we're going to be doing some other debugging instead. I've already got Windows fully up to date on here. So originally this wasn't going to be part of the video, but I guess, you know, now that I've got it here and I'm making this big computer video, I might as well do something with it. So this is running Lubuntu Linux, even though I don't particularly... My first ever YouTube upload was titled Lubuntu Linux Sucks. And I'll tell you right now, they have come a long way. The original release was garbage, and it still is garbage. But the newer version is at least tolerable. There are still some things about it that I don't particularly like, but, you know, it's like that with any distribution of Linux. Or even Windows. You know, look at Windows 10. I hate just about everything about Windows 10, too, so it certainly does take a long time to boot. And it doesn't display anything on the screen, which I find annoying. System program problem detected. Sure, report the problem. And it wants me to enter my password. Oh, burn in a fire. I'll report this problem too. Oh yeah, CMonkey Mozilla Build. I tried to install that and it didn't work. And it wants me to enter my password again. Alright, so I'm removing a couple of things that belong to Firefox, or at least seem to belong to Firefox, in the hopes that I can get this working. I have a feeling the reason why it isn't working is because it is a build that doesn't support the CPU that's in this system. So I'm going to go ahead and try and install Firefox. I don't care about any of the customizations. All I want to do is install this. I don't like the fact that it said that it didn't have to download anything. Please restart all running instances of Firefox, or you will experience problems. Well, what existing instances of Firefox? There aren't any. So we'll go ahead and we'll try it. I don't expect there to be any difference. If worse comes to worst, I may have to see if I can get Chromium installed on this. I hate anything having to do with the Chromium browser. Ugh. Should be an instantaneous crash. Just like that. So that's kind of stupid, actually. That it would try and provide me with a version that will not run on the computer. That's actually really stupid. Here we go. Let's see if this will run. Open source. We'll try and run this. Sure, install them. It's even larger than Firefox is at 65.3 megabytes. For the record, Lubuntu Linux used to come standard with Chromium installed. I forget when they changed it exactly, but they changed it over to Firefox at some point. As of late, I have not been very impressed with the Firefox browser anyways. So, it's not a big loss. I just have to hope that there's a browser that will actually run on this, and I don't have to reinstall the whole damn operating system, because I don't particularly want to do that. I'm certainly not doing it tonight. Let's see if Chromium will actually open. Or if that also instantaneously crashes. Certainly not fast. Of course, you wouldn't be breaking any speed records with an Athlon XP 2000 Plus anyways. Which is kind of a misleading processor name, because the Athlon XP 2000 Plus is actually only a 1.66 gigahertz CPU. What that really meant, what the 2000 really meant, was that, yeah, has closed unexpectedly. Piece of garbage. So, I'm going to be reinstalling the operating system, I think, because this is kind of stupid. I can't get a single daggone browser to work. I do have another plan. I don't know if I'm going to do it tonight, because it's almost 4 in the morning. Funny how time flies when you're trying to debug something. Okay, so this actually does work. Barely. Go to download a file and it crashes. Just like that. Fine, you won't download a file? I'll get my file, you bastard. Watch me. All ye DVDs be warned. Believe it or not, most of this was not caused by me. Imagine this DVD completely intact. Like, flat, but missing all of this magnetic material. You won't focus on it, but missing all of this magnetic material. That's what it was like when I pulled it out of the optical drive. And this crack that was right here was also there. There's a slight crack in the disc. I don't know why I won't focus on it. So I'm sitting here the disk was perfectly fine beforehand. And I was wondering, you know, I needed to erase it, so I did. I did a quick erase. It completed in 4 seconds. But then after that, it was spinning in the drive. The drive light, we're talking about this drive here. The drive light was flashing twice a second, or it would flash twice 1 second, then it would be off the next second, and then it would repeat that cycle. And applications on the computer that tried to access anything having to do with disk I/O would progressively hang the system, or would hang itself up. Eventually, the whole system hung up, and attempts to reboot it didn't really work. So I pulled it out, and that was the result. So I broke it, and, well, because it pissed me off. So I broke it, and that was the end of that. So now you got another DVD. And you're probably going to ask, why are you making DVDs? This has got Lubuntu Linux on it, because this system here is another one of those lovely systems that will not boot from USB. This thing's also got an even lovelier trick up its sleeve, because it not just won't boot USB, it also refuses to boot my boot manager off of a CD or a floppy. So, we're going to have to go the DVD route on this one. Okay, so this is Ubuntu Linux. I'm going to go ahead with the install option, which is probably going to be a mistake, but you know what they say, you don't get points for not trying, so I'm going to try and break it. I don't believe there's anything on the disk that I need to save, so it's not really going to be that big of a deal. At least not anything that I don't already have elsewhere. Right, we got some IRQ problems here, but it does look like it's going to actually boot. This is Lubuntu 16.10. As of the making of this particular video, or this segment of video anyways, it's the 21st of April, this is the most recent release that is available for download on the through the official channels. Well, I'm getting closer and closer to just not even bothering to install Linux on here, period. And here we come to the rant portion of our video. So if you don't want to hear swear words, well, please advance to the time code that you can see on your screen right now. I'll give you a little bit of time. This incident right here is what I am going to call an unmitigated failure of whoever designed the packages that are bundled, or basically whoever was in charge of deciding what to bundle and what not to bundle with the Lubuntu 16.10 installation media. Or rather, on the installation media. It's 12:25, I'm kind of tired. It's been a long day. And this is certainly not the kind of thing that I need to have happen after a long day. It's an unmitigated failure of these people to realize that, hey, the average end user doesn't want to put up with this crap. And they're going to just go right back to Windows. It does not fill me with a whole lot of confidence that something as simple as a bootloader installation to the root sector of the drive can't happen. There's a couple possibilities here. The installation was not running with root privileges. That probably is a problem. Other problems? There is no root sector because something happened in the partitioning process and got screwed up. You can mitigate that pretty easily. Or if you can't mitigate it, you can certainly tell the end user that this is the problem. The other problem that it could possibly be is that the root sector is damaged. There is a problem with the drive. You know what they call that? They call that a remap. Windows has been capable of doing that for almost 2 fucking decades. And this can't work around that? I think that's bullshit. That's what I think that is. The Linux developers need to get their asses in gear and design installers programs, system programs, and utilities that actually work. And we're further than that. If there's a problem, say what the problem is. I don't care if you give me some cryptic garbage. At least you've given me something. That's stupid. Completely stupid. Installer for the Grub bootloader told me nothing. All it did was say that an error occurred. And guess what? They completely failed to mitigate the potential issue where trying again doesn't work. In fact, the whole thing just completely locked up. Push the OK button and nothing happens. Select a different option. Push the OK button, nothing happens. Do these people even bug test their shit? Come on. So what I've had to do instead is I've had to find a system rescue CD. In this case, it happens to be literally system rescue CD. And, you know, the average user probably wouldn't have one lying around, so they'd have to find another CD, burn it to a CD, download it to begin with, and then burn it to a CD. This is a major waste of their time. Do you know what the average user is going to do? They're going to say, fuck it, and go right back to Windows. Because at least Windows has got a working bootloader situation. I have never once had Windows fail to install a bootloader where some other problem didn't also occur. You know, if there's corruption with your install media, there will be other problems. And it won't just be the fact that there's no bootloader. And hey, it'll tell you what the problem is. This, you just get, oh, I encountered an error. Too bad, so sad, figure it out yourself. So that's what I've done. Let's see what this does. This is the command that I need. Theoretically, anyways. Could not find it. Oh, you're an idiot. It's probably a failed format. I think that answers that question. Looks like I'm going to be trying the install for the third time. I think that's highly ridiculous. And it's not filling me with a whole lot of confidence that this process is even going to work. And this is the result of attempting a third installation. So I gotta go into the terminal, which is probably not gonna let me do. Oh, I gotta wait for the CD to spin up just to install, just to open up a damn terminal. Because I can't close this. I'm clicking on close, and nothing is happening. It's just completely ignoring me. So fine, if that's the game it wants to play, then we don't have to use it. We'll go somewhere else. So anyways, apart from Lubuntu Linux being a complete bitch, this project is actually going quite well. But we're going to add another one. And I'm not really going to do much video of this one, only to say that I'm doing it. This machine right now is running Windows Vista, and I've now got another Vista machine sitting over there, so I see no reason for this one to continue to be a Windows Vista system. So I'm going to take the hard drive, I'm going to image the hard drive, and then I'm going to be putting the Windows 10 back on this to see if maybe they've figured out what the problem is, with the latest build that would not run on this computer. So we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, speaking of Windows 10 and its latest builds, I've got this one here to look at and upgrade to the latest, the Creators Update, which is what they're calling it. I still haven't revisited the other R40, and I'm thinking about enabling unofficial updates on this Acer Aspire that's underneath here, but I don't know yet. And other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I don't have any other projects to work on. Those two machines are the last ones. Ah, yes. Isn't it nice when things work out? Although I did tell this thing to turn off the LED video light, but I guess it ignored me. So, let's see if we have a bootloader. I hope so. Because I may throw this thing across the room if I don't. here we go. Yep, I put Q4 OS on here. Alright. So far, completely uneventful. Here we go. So this is running the Trinity desktop environment, which is actually a spin-off of KDE. Probably intended to be lightweight. Did I just hear a Windows XP startup sound? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and run the desktop profiler. Ah, that sucks. Oh, I need to get an internet connection. That may be the problem. So what's the difference in the start menu? I don't know. Looks okay to me. See if the web browser actually works. Looks like it does. If you want the best experience and latest internet technologies, we recommend you install Mozilla Firefox. I don't know about that. Mozilla Firefox, I think, requires SSE2 processor instructions, and this doesn't have that, being an Athlon XP. So, in fact, I think that might have been what the problem was in the first place. But so far, it seems to be okay. I'll have to customize it tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reboot into Windows. Make sure that it didn't dump my Windows. That'd be the last thing that I want. It's okay to me. Yeah, it boots up fine. So, everything there is working. Alright, so I want a couple of things I want to do in Windows, and then I'm going to call it good. I'll work on the Q4 OS as well. Okay, let's put some wraps on projects. This one's not wrapped up. The R40 that's running Windows Vista, and it is still running. Its bag's in front of it because, well, I put it there so I don't have the light from the screen shining out while I'm trying to sleep. So, that's why this is there, because the WSUS offline disables screensavers and also disables the ability, or disables the screen blanking, so it stays on all the time. Probably not very good for it, but whatever. It's probably going to sit here for a week, if not longer than that, and I'm not going to wait for a week to finish this video, so forget that. That's where this one is. There's not really much else to see anyways. All I need to do is install a couple applications and get rid of all the updates. Finish up all the updates, and that's it. And that project is done. Good to go. This one is a wrap as well. The Sony Vaio. It is now running Q4 OS, which I'll have a little bit of discussion about. So far, I haven't really used it too much, but so far, it works very well. It's actually snappier than Lubuntu ever was. So I've installed a couple of my programs on it. I've installed Wine, VLC, LibreOffice, Firefox. It's also got, funny enough, I don't think it shows up there, but, I do find it interesting that it doesn't show up there. I guess because it didn't make one, but I did install TeamViewer on here. My copy of TeamViewer, because the one that it comes with is probably TeamViewer 11, and all my stuff is still running 10, and yeah, there it is. All my stuff is still running 10, and I don't feel like updating because I don't like the new version, so that's how that's going. Firefox actually runs, which I find funny, because reportedly the latest version of Firefox does not run on systems that do not support the SSE2 processor instruction, but this seems to work fine. I haven't tested Flash, but I don't think YouTube needs that anymore. I may install it anyways for things like Vaughn and iVlog, just in case I ever want to watch them on this machine, which I probably won't do because that's not really a good thing to do. That's not a nice thing to do to a system like this. I've installed my customizations. Which ESR is this? 52.1. Oops. Oh, okay. I guess I can't close that. There you go. I can go ahead and try YouTube. I think I have sound enabled. Go ahead and turn that up. I don't know how loud that is. I never really tested the speakers on this thing, I don't think. Well, maybe, I probably did when I first got it. I haven't since. Oh, number lock is on. That's an annoying thing about this operating system, is it turns number lock on, which is completely useless on a laptop, because, well, all these keys are number keys, and so it does that. Alright. Okay, after a false start, I had to plug that in so I could get internet on this computer. We are here with videos that hopefully are going to work. I've got to make more of these animations, but the problem is they're just so time-consuming. But it works. It's a little on the slow side, but it does work. Probably bring it to full screen. You can see what it looks like in full screen. Unfortunately, it looks like the title bar still appears over top of it. This video is not very high quality. Let's see if I've got a better one. And this is definitely not designed for this. Okay, stop. Oop, and it started again. Do I have another one that's a little bit better quality? Should have a few of them. These are everywhere. Apparently people like them, so I should probably start making more of these. That's a little better. This one's actually 4:3, so it should fill up the whole screen. Sound's not very good on this. Let's see if I can raise the volume. What is that? Looks like it doesn't have a function key for that. Oh, there we go. But it does this pretty well. Certainly a lot better than Lubuntu ever would have. But I do not believe this has got Flash enabled. So I'm going to go C. And I guess we'll find... Actually, I don't even need to do that. I can go into the add-on manager. And that should tell me. Should be under plugins. Flash Player is one of those things that is very annoying to install under Linux. So if it's not here, I'm probably going to have a headache. Yeah, it looks like we don't have it. Open H.264. So, I guess I'm going to have to go install Linux. Install a Flash Player. This is going to suck. Okay, so, at the risk of not raising my blood pressure, I am not going to bother with a Flash Player installation, because it is only going to serve to make me mad, and is going to make me have another Linux rant, which we are not doing in this video, I promise, at least so far. There may be other rants, but there will not be a Linux rant, because everything else that I'm thinking is going to be a problem here is not going to be the fault of Linux. It'll be the fault of the hardware that it is running on. So, like I said, this system is now officially a wrap. Oops. I put it away and forget that it exists. At least for another little while. I may use it at work this week, actually. That might be a thing that I do. That back there, I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's also wrapped up. That was a massive waste of my time, because as it turns out, I didn't install I don't have the POS Ready hack on there, so that was a massive waste. There weren't any updates to install. And really the only update to install was a Security Essentials definition update, but it can do that itself, so that's pretty much worthless. I may need to reinstall Windows on that at a later time, because the Windows installation, of course, is old. It's still running the installation it had when I first got it, which really is not a good thing. I should have gotten rid of that a long time ago, but you know what? There's no viruses on it. There weren't any rootkits or anything like that, so it works fine. So I'll just leave it alone. This one is in a limbo right now, but it won't be for very long. I'm restoring the previous backup of Windows 10, because there's no reason for that system to be running Windows Vista, onto a new fresh drive, because this one's got problems. It's gaining bad sectors again, and I don't trust it in a production environment, so we'll put this drive in it. I think this is another test drive, but we'll see. It's got 2 bad sectors on it, which is a lot better than 600 something, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, so as you can see, I've got some cameras set up, because we are in a thunderstorm risk zone. I'm going to have another camera somewhere, probably right there. That's not the point of the video. I don't know if I mentioned it, but underneath this mess is another project machine that I'm almost finished with. I need to, you've never seen it on YouTube before, so I need to install programs on that. It's already got a video, I need to edit it. It's not going to be part of this video because really it doesn't need to be. This over here has been, well, my work on it's been canceled and backed out because Windows 10, being Windows 10, is not working on it. So it's just going to remain a Vista machine, and that'll be the end of that. So, whatever. That makes it a little bit less useful, not that I care. It runs all that I want it to run. And at some point in the future, it may just become another Windows 7 box. So, that is going to be the Vista machine, which means that this is going to be getting an upgrade to Windows 7, because it's still not installing updates. Let's see if I can get that to focus on that. It's still sitting at that, and it's been 2 weeks, and I think I don't really care that much. So it's going to be a 7 machine, because I want the RNDIS functionality, remote network device something. I don't remember what it stands for, but network device identification service or something like that. Anyways, doesn't really matter. I want that to work because I want to use it at work, and we cannot use 802.11b equipment at work because it just isn't supported on the Wi-Fi, so gonna have to figure out a way around that, and that is going to be to install Windows 7 and use an external device. So I'm going to pull that machine out of there, but in the meantime, before that, I'm going to work on the other box, which means I'm going to have to find my boot floppy and hope that I'm able to boot with the boot floppy. Okay, so I got it booted from a USB floppy drive, so I don't know why it couldn't boot from regular USB, but whatever. So, here we go. There's nothing on the hard drive that's installed that I care about. Hopefully this is going to work. I'm going to cast my votes on it not working and my having to issue a whole bunch of swear words. This hard drive seems like it's garbage. Yeah. Okay. Piece of crap. I'm probably gonna have to probably get a different drive. This sucks. This is amusing. The BIOS sees it, but it won't boot from it. Unless maybe it does, and I just wasn't paying attention. It didn't seem like it'd show up, though. It didn't show up in the BIOS. So I don't know. It probably won't boot at all from that. This hard drive is not the best either, but doesn't make any funny noises, so there we go. We're getting farther now, I think. I hope. I did save the OEM info stuff that was on the original installation that's on this drive right now. I also saved the IBM specific backgrounds. However, I am not saving anything else, because, to put it bluntly, that installation is messed up beyond all extents of being messed up, and it may even be the drive. It was insanely slow. Well, I got something to work. Mint wouldn't run on this, so I guess I'm going to be installing Peppermint, which is not Mint at all, but it's something else. It's connected to the internet. I don't care. Alright, and we are here. 4 different distros later. I tried Mint. That didn't work at all. Just locked up. Peppermint crashed the installer for seemingly no reason at all. I then tried Chalet OS, and that didn't really work too well. So now we are running Lubuntu Linux on here. Keep in mind that it's booting from a hard drive in the Ultra Bay right now. I don't have the caddy for the proper hard drive, so will not win any speed records, and I wonder what the deal with all that graphical glitching is at the beginning. And we've already got an upgrade to install. So I have noticed something, and I think this is the system that had a problem with it, but the trackpad does not seem to work. Clicking on it, we're moving it, and it's not moving. So I know that one of these R40s had a problem with the trackpad where it would prevent the system from posting. It may have been this one, or it may have been that one. I'm pretty sure it was this one, though, because I think the other one works fine. See, we got a Celeron M 2 GHz and 256 megs of RAM. So I'm going to install the updates in my programs, and that'll be it for this one. Then we can wrap up the video with that and installing Windows 7 on it. Believe me, it'll be exciting to finally put a wrap on this video. I see this devolving into a bunch of swear words. That was interesting. It seems to be working now. I had to reboot the computer in order to regain control of it. But now we're going to run our upgrade and hope that it works. It probably won't, but that doesn't stop someone from dreaming. Well, I'm waiting for that, even though it is a little bit dangerous because there's not a lot of space to work with here. I'm going to begin working on this one, installing Windows 7 on it. Ah, yes, let's try a direct upgrade. I don't think this is going to work because the disk is for Windows 7 Professional and I have Windows Vista Ultimate installed. But it may work because I don't have a product key installed on the Windows Vista installation yet, because I wanted to make sure it was going to work out before I wasted my product key on it. Because that thing is only good for a certain number of activations, so... This particular R40, I actually paid a little bit less than 4 times what I did for this one. This one was, what, $20 at a Salvation Army or something like that. And this one was $6. Of course, obviously this one's in much better condition. And I find it kind of humorous that the hard drive that this one came with is now in this one. Yeah, here we go. Vista Ultimate cannot be upgraded to 7 Professional. Alright, so that was a waste of time. Something else I've noticed about these is that this one's got a full-scale Pentium M, whereas this one has only got a Celeron M. I'm not really sure. I didn't think that the R series was issued with that. I think the R series was the budget end. Was the budget end model, so that makes sense. But it's kind of disappointing. I was gonna say that I can only run 32-bit on this because it's a Pentium M, so it only supports 32-bit. Go ahead and install it. I'm going to try and skip entering a product key for now because, like I said, I want to make sure that this actually works before I waste an activation on this. Okay, as I suspected, files are backed up. I don't need to worry about it. Installed to the unallocated space. And we're off to the races. Hopefully, this is just going to work out. Because I think I'll be rather annoyed if this doesn't. Okay, here we go. I think I'm going to have to snake an Ethernet cable over here because it does not look like it has my Wi-Fi. Alright, well this is worse than Vista. We've got no drivers. How many devices do not have a driver installed? This ought to be interesting. There's a Pentium M, as you can see. It's actually slower than the other one. This one's got a Celeron M 2.0. This one's only got a 1.4 Pentium M, but I take the Pentium M over the Celeron any day. Oh yeah, there's quite a few devices. Actually, there's fewer than I thought, but I think this is only running on the VGA driver. Yeah. So I'm going to have to figure out what chipset this has and try and find the proper driver. I do not have a home group. Go away. First things first, I'm going to see if we can get some of these drivers installed using Windows Update. I always found this funny. Hopefully that doesn't mean it's going to screw up. Okay, well that's an insignificant number of updates. Okay, I'm going to uncheck that. Alright, SoundMax driver. Looks like we do not have a display driver though. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But it does look like everything else is there. Oops, that's not in focus. Got the infrared port, there's the sound driver, there's the wireless driver. So at least so far, everything here is good. I didn't like the fact that it only showed a 5.9 megabyte update for Service Pack 1 though. And there's our audio. Lenovo system. Well, it knows what it is at least. It's too bad it doesn't have the freaking video driver. Not that I think that the video driver would support the Aero Glass anyways, because I'm pretty sure it'd just be limited to this. Okay. can reboot the system now. And here's our audio. And the wireless card's working now. Or at least theoretically. So I can unplug the Ethernet. Don't really need that. Supposedly, you can install the Windows XP driver on this and then just manually install it the rest of the way, because I presume the XP installer is going to freak out at this. But we'll get to find out. Ah, look at this. Update to Windows 7 Service Pack 1. It's probably going to want me to connect to my network, which I will let it do once it lets me do that. Okay, so obviously this isn't going to work. So we'll have to do that at a different time. For now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug this USB drive in. And I'm going to install the drivers. I'm going to try and install the hotkey driver on its own. Shut up. Let's see if it'll actually work. Nope. Shut up. Actually, that begs the question. Would it actually work in compatibility mode? This probably is not a good idea, but I'm going to try it anyways. Huh, look at this. It doesn't interface with the Windows mixer. Yeah, it probably doesn't work. Well, the sound volume does. So that's interesting. Pity that the mute doesn't. However, having said that, now it's time to do the display driver. I'm not going to follow the same steps in order to do that, because I don't want to risk that breaking. So, we're going to manually update it. Browse for driver software. Should work fine under that. Installing driver software. So, let's see if that works. Okay, it's finished. Now we'll reboot the computer, and hopefully it works fine. Oh yeah, that's looking better already. Okay, so unfortunately Arrow doesn't work, which is alright. Maybe there's a driver update that will support it. I don't really care that much. If I can't have Arrow, I'm just going to put it in the classic theme anyway, so. Windows 7 Service Pack 1. We'll go ahead and see what installing that does. Alright, so I've made a discovery. As it turns out, the wireless card in here, the 2100 3B, doesn't work. There's a problem with it that prevents it from retaining a link to my network. And I don't think it's the network, because it's done it with a couple of different routers before. And I'd forgotten about this until now. What it will do is it'll sit there, it'll download a little bit, you'll see some activity, and then it'll shut off. And it'll come back on again, and it'll reconnect to your network, and then the same thing happens. It'll do that in an endless loop. So what I've done is I've cannibalized my R40E over there for its 2200 BG. And once this is done, which might take forever, but when it's done, I'm going to install that and see if the situation improves. I'm expecting that it will. But I'm finding more and more that I should have just downloaded Service Pack 1 and installed it manually, because this is taking forever. Okay, so I basically just decided screw it. And the system's begging for my attention. I want to... Let me just do that. That'll help. Oops. And we will install Service Pack 1 manually, because it was taking forever to do it through Windows Update. It's just a massive waste of time. Alright, here we go on that. And this should be very close to finishing as well. Then I can boot the system out of here. And I am going to need to do some work on that R40E. It's going to need a new Windows installation, but when I last checked, the unedited footage for this video ran up to about an hour in length. So, I think that I'm going to not do that on this video. And besides, it's just a Windows XP installation. There's nothing special about it, really. I mean, I guess if people really want to see it, I'll make a video about it. I may make a video about it anyways, and then if people want to see it, I'll upload it. But I don't think it's really worth making that big of a deal of. So. Okay. Let's get details. No longer needed. Nothing in here that I see that's of any interest. I'd love to keep that. I guess I can't uncheck it. I think what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to go and save all of that artwork. Alright, even though I had to do it from the terminal, everything is now there. So I can remove all of those. And it won't matter. Theoretically, anyways. Oh, look at this. No more graphical distortions. I don't know if that's a permanent thing or if that's just for this boot, but that's an improvement. Oh, you just missed it, but there was a lot of disk check errors there, so... Oh, look at this. You've got 2 instances of it. Great quality control, guys. Now, that's stupid. Apparently it will not connect via the Wi-Fi, so I had to use this piece of junk. We'll try and run this action again now that I'm connected to the friggin' network. Why is that not in focus? And this process is going along nicely. Alright, I see where this is going. I should probably just install a different version of Linux that isn't a piece of crap. Alright, well this is working. Close. I'm going to go and re-enable the wireless network adapter. And then I'm going to shut it down and install the new one sitting over there. Okay, it claims now that the software is up to date. However, I'm going to do one more thing. This is probably going to be a problem if it'll ever open. But I'm going to enable getting distribution upgrades for more than just long-term support versions because, well, this is going to be a test box, so if I really want long-term support, I've got another Linux box that I can use. So here we go with this process all over again. That's still taking forever, but this process finished, so we can shut this down and replace the wireless card. And that's done. Easy like Sunday morning. And it is Sunday morning. Let's see what the system does in reaction to it. Oops. Really? Come on. It's perfectly authorized. I just pulled it out of one of them. Idiot. Stuff this in your pipe and smoke it. Oh, wow. Well, I'll get it to work one way or another. If this doesn't work, I'll just take it out and I'll put the other one back in. It won't be that big of a deal. Let's see. I doubt it actually worked, but... Ha! It sure did. Take that, IBM. So we'll just have to install the driver and then it'll be done. This is now applying changes. I think I just got to that step now. Of course, it's being stupid. There we go. Wow. That's a mess. But yes, it just got to this step now, so. Holy moly. Yeah. Just a few updates, eh? Alright, get this out of the way. I was monitoring the CPU and RAM usage. Look at the network bandwidth. What is this crap? It's more than capable of going faster than this. And another upgrade. I don't think a floppy drive should be making that noise. Okay, this is getting kind of ridiculous. I tried to run an upgrade. That failed. It gave me some cryptic error message I couldn't understand head nor tail of. And so I then tried to download and run solid X Linux, which didn't work at all. And this is 1704, trying to do a fresh installation. This isn't working. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's sitting here, it's completely deadlocked. It's not doing anything at all. So that's kind of stupid, because I thought that this Lubuntu Linux operating system was intended for systems with low system specifications. I guess that's not really a thing anymore. Because as far as I'm concerned, 512 meg, anything more than 256 megabytes is pretty standard. Maybe that's just not true anymore. I think it's kind of dumb, but that's just me. So now I am trying to try out VectorLinux. So we'll give that a shot. We'll have to try that and see if that works. Oh, right. I also tried Anti-Ax Linux, which should work. It's also intended for lower-end systems, but then the Wi-Fi card didn't work. What the hell? It's not hard to support this crap, people. Okay. So let's say we just use existing partitions, because I don't care. Please do not use that floppy. Okay. Not use. Well, that looks very promising. So SDA1, what the hell? It only made a 512 meg swap partition? That's kind of stupid. Okay, so that should be, oh, it's using X3. Do not format. This is a swap partition. There. Select packages. ICE window manager with VL editions. Virtual editions? I don't know. Modifications. Oh, that's probably for VectorLinux. Okay. Go forward, and I gotta put all this stuff in. Formatting partitions. Lots of typos in here. So hopefully this is going to work. I had to use a text-based installer, but we have it. We can reboot. It's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I haven't done anything. Unable to acquire AGP. Holy crap, that's awful. Heh. Wow, that's bad. Let's get rid of that. Resetting the system so the game can start. Wow. I'll come back when it's finally booted. It might take another 10 years. And instantly, we are not going to bother with this operating system. Time to go back to the drawing board. Furthermore, it doesn't seem to have started my wireless adapter anyways, so it is worthless. Alright, let's get serious. Unfortunately, that probably means there's going to be at least one rant in this portion of the video. I am seriously to the point now where I believe that I should cut my losses and install some flavor of Microsoft Windows, as opposed to trying out Linux. And here's why. This system over here is almost completely well on its way, in fact, to being completed, before this one has even managed to get itself up off the ground. And I started working on this one long before I started working on this one. The only excuse for this is unmitigated failures on the part of the developers of specific portions of various Linux operating systems. I don't care what it is. If it's the kernel, if it's the desktop environment, if it's a program, if it's a kernel mode, whatever. No one gives a crap. Certainly not me. There's been a problem. A long string of problems. Okay, so what did it start with? Well, I wanted to install Linux Mint on this system originally, and that was a complete non-starter. It didn't even boot into a desktop environment. It just hard-locked. Okay, whatever. Next, I tried Peppermint Linux. I have no idea what provoked it. Well, actually, I've got something of an idea. There's probably something having to do with the hard drive situation. And it crashed out of the installer, waited for probably about 5 minutes before something else happened, brought me to a login prompt, of which there were absolutely 0 users that I could use to log into the system. What the hell? It's a graphical login. I should have a list of users. There should be a user I could log into the damn system with. How is it logging in the first place? Like, let's get real. There's got to be a root user somewhere. Why doesn't it present me with this? Simple answer is an unmitigated failure on the part of the developer to foresee a potential for issues. And there's a helicopter outside that's distracting me. So don't be surprised if I lose my train of thought. Okay, so that was wash. Next, I tried Chalet OS. I don't know if I showed that on the video because I haven't watched the whole video. I am editing it over there as I'm going along because this is going to take forever. Chalet OS. All it did was it gave me an error message about some fatal error trying to launch installer, whatever, and it brought me to a text mode login without a list of users to log in as. But I'm going to let that slide because text mode logins usually don't show a list of users that you can log in as. All right. So that also was a non-starter. Lubuntu Linux is up next. And to all of the people right now, I'm pretty sure I've had at least 10 of them in the comments already, who have whined at me for my pronunciation of the word Lubuntu. It's supposed to be Lubuntu or some whatever. Go away. I've got no use for grammar Nazis on this particular video. Oh yeah, I know I'm not in a particularly good mood right now, as if you couldn't already tell. Probably shouldn't even put this in the video, but I'm going to anyways because it's probably going to be funny at some point. Nevertheless, I don't have any time for that crap. I don't care how something is pronounced. And I don't think I'm the only one. In fact, I highly doubt that anybody other than you on the planet, in the universe, or even outside of the universe actually gives a shit. So do not bother making any comments about it because I actually don't care. So, there. Anyways, off that. 14.04 worked fantastic. I thought, great, this is going to work awesome. Run one upgrade, and it breaks my wireless card. Okay. Next upgrade. Goes fine. Upgrade after that, some random jibber-jabber error message, and a whole bunch of package problems now. Great. Let's try something else. Move on to SolidX Linux. Supposed to be designed for systems of low hardware specifications. Oh, yeah, right. This isn't even that low end. This thing is from, what, 2003 or 4? That's not that old. It's got a 2 gigahertz freaking CPU, and sure, it's only got 256 megabytes of memory installed in it, but that would qualify it as a low-end PC, would it not? Evidently, I must be very wrong, and that qualifies it as a doorstop instead. Because, nope, no desktop environment. Doesn't start. Just hard locks. Actually, it didn't hard lock. It was trying to load something. And it sat there for about 5 minutes trying to load something before I got tired of it and said, well, forget this. It's obviously way too slow for this. I'm not wasting my time. Move on. Anti-X Linux. Oh, it works. Works beautifully. Except for the wireless card. I don't understand why operating systems that run the same freaking kernel, or newer, do not all support the same subset of hardware. It is an unmitigated failure on the part of the developers designing these operating systems. There is no excuse for this crap. That's all it is it's crap. If it's running the same kernel, it should support the same hardware. No ifs, no ands, no buts. I do not want to hear anything in the comments about it, because this is the way that the real world works. I do not care if maybe the driver for one distribution is different from another one, and maybe one of them is less efficient. If it works, great. That is all I care about. And I guarantee you that is all the average user cares about. Alright, fine. So that was a wash. Then we move on to Lubuntu Linux 17.04. Try to do a fresh installation. Nope. Again, doesn't get very far. I thought that the whole point of the Lubuntu project was to provide a lightweight Linux distribution. Lightweight would imply that it would run on a system of low footprint. Like, oh, I've got one sitting right in front of me. Okay. So then we move on to VectorLinux. And you just saw that didn't work. Alright. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, fine. So if this is the game that the computer wants to play, then this is the game that the computer is going to lose. Q4OS. That is what we are going to install. I'm getting real tired of this crap. This is what I should have done in the first place. So we'll go ahead and we'll run this. We'll install it with my options. And we'll be done with it. Okay, so that's doing updates. And this said it was finished. So, I've already unplugged the floppy drive, so I don't have to worry about that. But, let's see if we have a wireless card. I think that if it doesn't work in this, I'm not going to bother, because I just don't think I care enough. It doesn't really matter. I mean, to be completely fair, it's not really a name brand wireless card anyways. So, what is it? Some Intercell Prism something, whatever, I don't care. It says Action Tech on it. So it's probably, like I said, I think at the beginning of the video, it's a piece of crap, so. Loading Q4OS. Oh, it doesn't have the boot menu, because it's a single operating system setup. Alright, so this should work very well. Hopefully. I'm not going to entirely keep my hopes up, because you never know. Could be some kind of problem. Oh, look at this. The wireless card works. It'll be interesting to see if it can actually maintain a connection. If any of these parts of the video are out of focus by a whole lot, even though it's already been, like, goodness only knows how long through the video. I mean, through my editing, we've got up to about 40 minutes. So, and it's not even done yet. I've still got a lot of clips to figure out. Wireless network card detected, Wi-Fi support enabled. Sounds good to me. It's recommended you run desktop profiler tool. Sounds like a plan to me. One thing I don't like about this distribution is that number lock is on by default. It's very annoying. Alright, so that doesn't work. And again, it's going to go back to my rant about there being bugs and drivers that shouldn't exist, because this wasn't a problem previously, now apparently it is. So, whatever. I think I'm going to just disable the wireless and use this, because that's really the way that I'm going to be using it in the field anyways. So disable the wireless because it's not really necessary. Holy crap. For those of you who are still watching this video 90 minutes later, first of all, get a freaking life. And second of all, I apologize for the unnecessary length of this video. There was no real reason why it needed to be this long, other than just the fact that it's been a sheerly large number of projects, there's been a number of snags along the way, and it has taken a long time. Longer than really I think it needed to. I'd like to thank all of you for sticking around this long and for your patience. I am awarding you the stunning conclusion of this particular video. There are other projects that need to happen. At 90 minutes, they ain't gonna be happening in this video. No way. This video is way too long already. But I am pleased to report that it's over. It's done. She's finished. It's time to put a wrap on the last two projects. This is the R40 that is running Linux. It's running Q4 OS and doing a damn fine job of it. It will need a RAM upgrade in order to really take full potential of it because the web browser does not run very well, which is to be expected. Everything else, however, seems to work just fine. So we are going to shut this one down. Don't need it to be powered up anymore. It can go into the stack of completed laptops. This unit, running Windows 7, is now also complete. I've got most of my set of applications installed. It's just a basic set. I'm probably going to put more on it afterwards. But there are still a few things I need to do with this that I just remembered, so we're going to take care of those. Okay, Windows is now activated, and I also ran the Windows Experience Index. Rating. Unfortunately, it didn't score too well. That's mostly because the video driver is an XP driver and is not following whatever the latest WDDM standard is. I think it's 1.1. And it doesn't support Arrow. Which is alright. I don't really care about Arrow anyways, so nobody needs that crap. I'm trying to think. The last thing I think I need to say in this video is that I didn't really describe what the 1802 error message was. Basically, these systems, the R40s, have a whitelist of PCI vendor IDs for authorized wireless cards. And IBM's official wording is that this is done because the pairing of antennas and the cards needs to be validated by the FCC, so it falls within some Part 15 rules or whatever. Which, if you ask for my honest opinion, is a complete load of BS because, well, the point of the standard is to have a standard. And I would assume that the standard would include output, power, and antenna design. But whatever, they didn't ask for my input, so their loss. So there's a whitelist, and you can only install certain cards. For whatever reason, apparently the 2200BG from Intel is not on the list of PCI vendor IDs of authorized cards on the R40, at least not with the BIOS that this thing is running. So there is a tool known as No1802. That is no-1802.com. And what this does, that's what I used, what it does is it flips a bit in the CMOS settings that is not user accessible, which disables the whitelist check. This doesn't work on all systems, but it does work on the IBM Thinkpad R40, as well as numerous other ones. Because it's in the CMOS, If the CMOS battery is dead, as is the case with this system over here, and battery, you unplug it and don't use it for a while, you will lose that setting. So you will have to do that all over again. However, it is a small price to pay. Frankly, the performance here is outstanding, and it actually works, unlike the other card. So, on that note, we are going to turn off this computer and turn off this video. Over 90 minutes later. Wow. 90-minute video. I hope it uploads. Thank you so much for watching and sticking it out for all 90 of those minutes, and then some. But this is CP666 signing off. That is a wrap on this project. Alright, we're done here. So, now all of the people who have been begging, pleading, and crying in my YouTube private message inbox and elsewhere about computer videos, upload a computer video, I want to see a computer video, blah, 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 now have got absolutely no right to complain. At least for the next 90 minutes. After which we'll probably go right back to the same old crap. Till then, guys, happy trails. And I'll see you on the next video, which will definitely not be as long as this one.